Hi everyone, this is Sir Carl, and we are going to talk about the purposes or functions of art. Now, when you say purpose or functions, these are the usages or the uses. We'll say pulos sa art in our daily lives, in your daily lives, anywhere you go, anyone or whatever you represent in life. Now, very basic for what do you call this? Purpose, religious or spiritual. For those who are religious and spiritual, they use art to complement their beliefs. For example, they use art in their worships, rituals, or spiritual icons and statues. In statues, very common, right? For Roman Catholics, at least, there are statues, and these are what they call is works of art because these are made of our own creativity, our own skills in art. In worship as well, there are things that we use or in rituals that are beautiful, functional, and artistic in every way we see or each culture or religion sees. Architecture, churches, obviously, that is a function of art spiritually. Ceremonial objects, vessels, containers, sculptures of uh, gods or deities, incense burners, or books. I'm sorry, deities. Now, these ceremonial objects, vessels or containers, these are found in what they call this, holy or holy places like temples or mosques or anywhere that's a place of religious people or religious what they call this elements, uh, maybe butanganan or symbols lang mismo. Sculptures of deities. When you say we talk about sculptures, these are what do you call this? Religious writings that talk about the beliefs of a certain religious group. Incense burners, obviously, when you use incense, at least for Roman Catholics, and books, of course. So these are artworks in the religious aspect. We also practice religious, I mean, observe religious practices. Not just what art is, again, it's not just what we can see, it's what we also do. Dances, music, theater, drama, or what they call this presentations or performances. So these practices, we use art or we perform art in these practices. Examples are ceremonies, rituals. When they say ceremonies, these are formal events wherein something is being celebrated, or there's a goal, or there's ceremonies. Rituals, these are routines, religious routines that we do most of the time to what they call it, welcome or um bring in good spirits. Painting, statues, these are very evident in churches, right? And also not just in churches, what do you call this? Because our world is really influenced by religion. So paintings mostly, or wait, not mostly, many of the paintings are religious figures. The Sistine Chapel, there's a painting on the what do you call this, on its uh si tawag ani ceiling. There are religious paintings. Also, we also have music in what do you call it, religious events in our religion, in our churches, right? Music again is art. Okay, weddings, feasts, what do you call it, meditation. Anything we use, anything we observe, anything we practice in meditation, that's art. It also talks about what's after life. These are common topics in art. Death, soul, introspection. When you say introspection, you try to reflect very, very deeply to find your purpose or essence or what you're trying to understand. Okay? Religious, spiritual. Let's move on to the next one. Political or social. Okay, this one. Political. Let's focus on the political function. When you say political, it's built for change. Ingat kita ng politics, ha? There are policies. For what are these policies? For the good. For what is the good? For everybody. Now, how will you make everybody be in their good state, in their better state? You try to make things better. So there will be changes, especially when there are new things that happen to us. Obviously, that we're already talking about politics here, but that change should be positive, and that is the aim of also an aim or a function or purpose of art to create positive change. Now, how can you make positive change through art? Activism. In activism, there are protests. For example, protests, murals here. Look, murals. These people who participate in protests or draw murals, what they call this, use their skills in creating sculptures or paintings or visual arts or performances, theaters, music, even music, so that they will be able to voice out what they're trying to voice out. And that is for change, obviously. So again, political, social commentary. It's editorial gardening. That is a very, very heavy political, what they call this, art, because it talks about what happens in the government, the abuses, how, what they call this, things that we should focus on. And because people or government or corrupt people are abusing these effigies. Are you familiar with effigies? And I'm sorry I cannot provide a picture, but when you see protests, there are oversized, bigger than human size representations, 3D representations, bigger than mannequins of people who are most of the time corrupt or who are, what they call this, um, being called out by the society. So these effigies, they make sculptures, sorry, not sculptures, statues of these people in an exaggerated way, like editorial cartoons, and they burn these. Have you ever seen one? Also, editorial gardening. Yeah, I talked about that already. Art as criticism. Now, art should not just be about what's beautiful, what's good to see, what's good to hear, what's good to touch, what's good to enjoy. It's also about making use of it for ourselves, for our daily living, and that is through criticizing those who are abusing us, those are who deserve to be called out. It also evokes emotion. When you say evoke emotion, you try. It's because people, for example, in the Philippines, they are, what they call this. There are many people who are so blind, because of money, because of what they see, because of their idols, because of idolatry. Now you try to make art as a eye opener for everyone. Trauma, creativity, emotion. So you get their emotions, you target their emotions so that you will be able to get them and participate for the change that you're aiming for. Provoke critical thinking. You try to make people think, not just follow their idols or praise them or worship them. Inspire action for a just society. When you talk about inspiring action for a just society, means that, what do you call this? The same with people who protest, who lobby, who what do you call this? Who try to call out those abusive people, despite their money, despite those people's abusive money, the corrupt ones, they still are inspired for everyone's sake, for the good of society. Comment, influence, or protest. That's the same social issues, ideology, ideologies, conservative, progressive, liberal. Okay. Also, if you want to express your what they call the side, although we should always respect each other's side and respect each other's right, respect each other's preference, whether you're conservative or liberal or progressive. I'm sorry. There are also works of art that, for example, talks about social talk about social issues, like they're against abortion. They are pro death penalty or capital punishment. You can use art so that you will be able to express yourself. Activism, again, that's what – say okay. Now, when we talk about, hold on. Okay, this when you say political, of course it involves the society. So it says that's why I put here political or social, because when you say social, it involves the people, their survival, their welfare. Okay, but political much more heavy than the social function of art, because it really involves the government, involves politics, involves governance. Also, uh, obviously it's for catalyst for change. When you say catalyst, it's I forgot the chemical explanation for this one, but it's an ingredient or something that we can use for change. Social transformation. Yeah, this is being campaigned already since I don't know 1700s, 1100s or 1300s, but we are still going to what they call this encounter changes. So we still have to aim for social transformation, and we can use art for that. Raise awareness. You make poster slogans, right? You make digital posters, you make videos, you make infomercials. Those are forms of art. Anything that you are passionate about, you use skills in, you innovate in. Those are forms of art. Challenging the norms. When you say norms, these are things that people normalized, even if they are not right to do. Okay? Also, for example, we are letting women stay at home and letting men work. That is a very toxic norm because we are not, for example, women. Is there any law or even by God that says women should be at home and cannot work because men should work? No, there is not. So that norm is so toxic. We should abolish that norm in our society. There are a lot of norms that we think are normal na kaayo sa ato. Ah, okay naman na, nagkakahitabo naman na siya sa atong society, but dili siya sakto. So we should challenge those. And we can use again, what? Art. Kanang wala na minaw nila, bantay lang mag-quiz ra ba, jud? Sige, bahala mo. And of course, kanang quiz, para na siya matest kung naminaw mo. And of course, this is an academic institution. It talks about these things, and we are going to assess if effective ba ang among ginabuhat o naminaw ba jud mo. Action towards social, political, and cultural issues. Okay, same with political, but political is stronger in expression. All right. Next one is the cultural function of art. Now, political is very heavy, right? Talks about change, challenging the norms, um, social and cultural issues, provoking critical thinking, trying to wake up people. Wake up sa dira ay pag si kuan duka ag si dula sa iyong cellphone, palihog ko SF sa paglabay sa iyong cellphone sa bintana if dili maminaw. We're trying to wake up people, trying to be catalysts of change. And now we're down to cultural. This is also a social purpose. Not social meaning, of course. Culture is a way of life of whom? Of people, obviously. So this is also social. So it could be, sorry, could be cultural or political. But they are different. Cultural and political are different ones. But they are both social. Now, down to cultural, it if you use art in a cultural way, you are able to establish your identity as a community. Unsaon pag-establish your identity as a community? What they wear, what they sing, what they write, what they call this draw, what they represent, what they make to represent themselves. That is your identity, and you can use any form of art, any technique you know in art to establish or to maintain your identity as a community. Contemporary diversity of cultures that is very present, even if what they call this, we think that we are different culturally, but there are what they call this still similarities in the patterns of what we wear, in the tune, in the instruments you use in singing. It Art is also a powerful tool for preserving cultural identity and heritage. Why? Art is beautiful. Art is evokes emotions. Art is passionate. So if we are passionate about art, we are able to, what do you call this? Preserve our identity and heritage. We're able to pass down what we do, what we practice, what we celebrate about, what we sing, dance, act on, or perform, or participate in to the next generation as a community. Okay, cultural art. It also preserves tradition. The same with that. Um, how can we preserve tradition? We keep on dancing. If we want to preserve dances, we keep on making, creating crafts. We produce things so that we are able to teach the younger generation, so that they are able to teach their younger generations and our culture, our identity, and as well as art is there until the end of time. If there is an end of time. That is how you keep or preserve your traditions. hmm Dances, clothing, and songs. We also promote values and lessons culturally and, of course, socially. In our society, we observe etiquette. When you say etiquette, di ba there are rules that we observe when we are eating. You should not talk when your mouth is full. You should use the proper utensils and what do you call that? I'm sorry. When you, what do you say? Utensils, and what do you call this? Etiquette online, etiquette. That those are uh norms, or what are they called? What they're non-moral standards, or yeah, netiquettes, values and lessons. We also promote these. Diba we in our culture, we in our own each of our cultures, we have a certain value, or what do you call this, characteristic that we are really proud of because we are very good at it, especially in being hospitable, or um generous, or any virtue or value that we have in our culture, and we promote that through art. But again, cultural relativism. Kinsay naka-remember diri sa cultural relativism. Dapat naka-remember pila ka buksok sa subjects sa senior high school. Kadaghan ato. Cultural relativism is about, I mean, thinking that there are a lot of cultures, and not if this culture, or this thing, or this practice is correct or right, or being practiced in your culture, and that is right for your culture, it does not mean that it is also right in other culture, because we are relative, we are subjective, we have different, viewpoints on what is right. But as long as we respect each other, and of course we observe cultural relativism, we are able to promote values and lessons. And that is also through art. Self expression and identity. You can also express your social or cultural purpose here. Aside from, bragging, not totally bragging, being proud of your community, of your culture, of your group, you can also express yourself. And that is very good, since a very good thing to do, because aside that, it's it boosts our confidence. It helps us grow. We can also be more expressive, and we because if you're really expressive, your creativity is honed, and if your creativity is honed, of course you produce more, you're productive, and you're more confident. hmm Also, art can help us make a bridge between our culture and to other people's other culture. Why? We make art, right? And art is about our culture, about us, our identity, what we do. Now, if we make art about this, we are creative about it. We make it beautiful. We make it um emotions evoking. That is why when other people discover our forms of art, our works of art, they are able to learn about it, to explore what our history is, what we are about, what who we are, and we are also able to learn. We're also able to know who they are, what they wear, what they practice. We're able to appreciate other people because of art. And aside from knowing things about them, aside from them knowing things about us, it also helps us to, of course, art improve our creativity and collaborate with other people to make art. That is for the good of of everybody. Partnerships. Mhm. Moving on to the next one, I'm sorry, personal or emotional. Now, personal, naman din sa cultural, social, because again, we're members of our cultural groups or social groups or communities. Political communities. Political, obviously, because it's how we are affected. Religious, spiritual, it depends on us if we have religions or spiritual beliefs. We are going to focus on emotional. Art makes you express yourself. That is very helpful for us to release our emotions. So katong galisa dira, those who are struggling to adjust with their studies, family problems, personal lives, try to make something that's artistic. Start with something that makes you express yourself. That nobody that you think that's a safe space for you, that nobody can judge you. Draw something, write something, speak something, sing something, dance, act, shout, make something that you can express yourself. And practice and practice. Release your creativity, your originality. Art can help you. Trust me. Trust art. Also, as a person and as an artist, you don't just appear in the world, in the Philippines, and then you're skilled already. Because being skilled requires practice. You learn mistakes, make mistakes, you learn from them, you, you innovate, you improve, you enhance, and then you grow. Because when you grow, that's a personal achievement. And that is because of art. Dagan gid gamit ang art. For your own good, for other people's good politically, for change, for your culture, to preserve your culture. For other people, it also evokes empathy. Now, when you say empathy, you're being able to put yourselves in another person's shoes, not just uh, condole with them. Now, how can you do that? You express something not just because you're worried about yourself, not just about your problems. You make a painting, you make a song, you make a script about a for TV that represents a certain culture, their problems, and you're calling calling for help for other people. That is empathy. You contemplate. When you say contemplate, Manggod, it also is related to politics. You think of a thing very deeply. You reflect on it, and then you decide what's the best for everybody. What's for the greatest good. And of course, you connect with your audiences. Remember last meeting, I'm sorry, section 1 and 3, I was not able to discuss this one with you, but last meeting, I told you that the artist creates the art, makes the magic, and the audience engages with you, appreciates the art. So if you're afraid to express yourself, if you're afraid that nobody will watch your concert, watch your movie, read your book, read your poem, listen to your music, look at your painting, appreciate what you do that's artistic. Don't worry, because the audience will always be there. No matter what they say, the fact that they tried or they made time to look, to to pre, even not appreciate, make they make time for, to see your art, to witness your art, do it, because you will always have a connection with your audience. Mhm. Now, we're down to the last part, the decorative or aesthetic. Dagan kayo, di ba? Og bulos ang art, religious or spiritual, political, social, cultural, personal, emotional, and we're down to the, I think, the most stereotyped um, purpose or function of art, the decorative or aesthetic. Anything that's beautiful, decorative, or aesthetic, that is also art. And that is the decorative or aesthetic function of art. You make art, you add art, a work of art, to make something you see, you hear, you write attractive, stylistic, styled, fashionable, anything that makes or gives someone pleasure to the eyes, to the hearing, to anything. Mhm. All right. We are now down to the philosophical perspectives of art. So remember nga daghan kay purposes of functions of art. And dili lang nato na siya i-remember. We make use of it. Okay? We are now down to the philosophical perspectives of art. This is a very lisod jud kini nga topic. Mm-mm. Uh, I just advise you to keep an open mind. Paminaw gid mo. Try to understand. I will also try my best to explain these philosophical perspectives of art to you. Okay? Start with Plato. Kailan naman siguro ng Plato, no? Narignaw sa background if you're not familiar with his face. Plato is a philosopher, very famous Western philosopher, a student of Socrates, and a the proponent of a mimesis. When you say mimesis, it's came from the word mime or mimic. When you say mimic or mime, you imitate. Awaton, imitation. You imitate something. So in mimesis, you try to imitate something. Completo. So in art, you're balik-balik, try to imitate something. But what are you going to imitate? This should be hold on. Where was, okay. Should be the real world. So awato nimo ang real world. That is art according to Plato. Now, if you try to imitate the real world, nganong ideal man siya? The difference, if you're, I think, I hope you know about this introduction to philosophy human person, senior high school, ideal, that is beyond us. The perfect, unsa ang pinaka perfect na idea, unang ideal. Pero when you say real, unsa atong makita gyud. Dili man perfect ang tanan. There are conditions. For example, you think of a table. Table na ay four ka legs. Flat ang surface. Perfect kay na siya. Ang table nga imong gihuna-huna that you thought of. The idea of a table that you thought of. But, in reality, walay perfect nga table. Nganuman, dili man siya forever. It does not last forever. Steel, magtaya siya, it would create rust. Wood, mag-break down. So, walay perfect sa real world. Pero you try to imitate it, ang mimesis. Ang physical world, what you can see, what you can hold, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can taste. Our actions as humans, we are living, we are breathing. By science, we have DNA, we are proven to be existing. Natural phenomena, what we experience, what we encounter, what we witness. The sun, the air we breathe, volcanic eruptions, the sea, the waves, anything that's present. in the world. Okay, that's natural phenomena. But according to Plato, everything should be perfect daw. Okay? Pero nga nung mag-imitate man sa reality nga di man perfect. Now, Plato said that even if dili perfect ang reality, what you should put in your minds. I'm sorry, I'm not a philosophy major, ha. I'm just trying to interpret what the philosophers have explained. This might not be perfect, but this is the best interpretation for it. In fact, basta, mm, basta mo to siya. This is a very hard, difficult topic. Very, bulky. Ano si Plato, there's one, naisa kabutang. There are things. There's a thing. That thing is in your mind only. Okay? It does, you cannot see it. Naran na, imo na nang yun na. It's the idea. When you say idea, it's what you think of about something. Essence. You see, essence, what's its nature? What's its purpose? Its exists. I'm sorry, no. The purpose of its existence. No, for example, a table. Di ba table to example? Perfect na siya ang table. Pero wala gid kay table makita. You just think of a table. No actuality. But that is perfect, ideal. Since you you're thinking of a table, wala siya, wala mo makita in person. And if makita ni mo na siya in person, actual object na siya. Physically seen. Kaya actual object makita maganda physically. Practical. Pasabot ng practical, uh, reduced the idea of the thing. Means that what we can afford to make tawag gani? We can afford to substitute for that idea. And dili na siya perfect. But si Plato, dapat perfect daw. Ano siya ang art? Mhm. But here's a saying that it's easier said than done. And mauna siya. That represents that explains Plato's mimesis. Easier said, you said it because you thought of it. You just said it. There is no action. It's just they're purely words. So it's very easy to say it than doing it. So when you do it, there's an actual object. You made the table. Mhm. So nasabtan si Plato. Libog ka siya, no? Ang point lang ani is, we are trying to make art perfect. Alright? We make art, we fabricate art. That means that it's not actually in the real world. Unless it's happening spontaneously, it's happening without direction. Walay director, walay painter, walay planner. Nahitabo lang yun siya. That's the real world. But we are trying to make things perfect through movies, di ba? They are just your fantasies. But because of art, we make it happen. Through art, we make movies. Got it? Okay. One down, four remaining. Next is Aristotle na ta. Aristotle ang kunta ni Plato. Although Aristotle uh, adhered to Plato, was an apprentice student of Plato, Aristotle was being practical. We cannot just think, he said. We cannot just think about things. We have to settle for what we have. We cannot aim for perfection if there is no thing that's perfect. So we have to face what is real, what's practical. Imitation gyapon ng art sa iya ha. We are trying to imitate the real world, but it does not have to be perfect. We just have to make sure that it is accurate enough. We don't make what they call this we don't sensationalize things. We don't twist things. For example, There's a social issue. There's a scandal, a political scandal, and instead of um, speaking about the truth, you're tweaking it, you're twisting because you have an agenda, and that is not right. According to Aristotle, you should always be nearest to the real ones. That's why art is judged by its accuracy and effectiveness. Unsa og judge ang art ni Plato? Kung unsa ka, perfect ang imuang art. Mm. Pero kani siya kung unsa ka close sa reality imong art, unsa ka effective imong work of art. Should be accurate representation of reality. Balik-balik na ko. So mo na kaayo. When painting nature, what we actually see should also be seen in the artwork. Kanikang Plato, what we think of should be seen in art. Pero wala man kita sa atong giuna-una, right? Because that's not what's real. But as much as possible, we make art that's perfect. Pero unsa na to pagkabalo unsay perfect na idea? One tip is to erase imperfection sa art. So, sa elements sa reality. Okay? Kung Aristotle, if I see here a bottle of water, I also see the painting that's depicting a bottle of water. If an artist paints a picture of an apple, they would make it look exactly like a real apple with the right colors, right shape, and right details. Muna siya kang Aristotle. Imitating reality accurately. Next, we are down to Immanuel Kant or Kant. Kant. This or he was also a philosopher. Ang iyang point sa art is art. This is so funny. It's very ironic, but we're going to proceed with this one because this actually makes sense. Art as purposive without a purpose. So when you say purposive, not actually purpose, right? It's made to be to have a purpose. But naay art nga purposive pero walay purpose. Now, let's define what purpose is. Okay, when you say purpose, there was a goal in making art. So what do you want to achieve at the end? What do you want to speak about? What do you want to uh, voice out about? That is a purpose. What do you want to achieve? That's a purpose. Okay? Now, there are also works of art that you don't want to achieve at the end. You just want it to be, sige, I will ask you, unsa nga purpose ang iyang pasabot ani? Naano na diri ang answer? Starting with decorative or aesthetic, personal emotional, cultural social, political social, or spiritual and religious. All right. The answer there is decorative or aesthetic because obviously it's purely beauty, right? You just need something, need a work of art to make something attractive. Now, when you say attractive, does it really have a function in life? You only see it, right? It's pleasure to the eyes, but it does not help you answer a question, does not help you clean something or manage something. So it's still purposive because it is art. It is art because it is beautiful. That's what make it purposive, but wala siya actual purpose. Seems there's a purpose or intention, however, it actually lacks a specific practical function. When we say practical, it has what do you call this? It contributes something to you to achieve a goal. And when you achieve a goal, you develop, you grow, you help other, for example. Merely aesthetic for beauty purposes. Klaro naman siguro, no, kung nagbasa mo, ano, naka-answer mo sa question ako ganina. Art is intrinsically beautiful. Intrinsic, pasabot ana is naturally. So art, even if it's without, it does not have a purpose, it's still purposive. Nga man, it is aesthetic. It's for the eyes. Gets? Purpose and decorative because but we are talking about what uh work of art that helps us achieve a goal. Maunang wala siya purpose ang art. Pure purposive siya. Hmm? True aesthetic appreciation. Aesthetic. What we like with our eyes. Not utilitarian or functional. Okay, this is functional. Functional na function. Na siya point of existence. Na siya help. Utilitarian na gamit. It's for the good of everybody. For example, an abstract painting with shapes and colors that doesn't represent anything specific, but was created by the artist to simply look visually appealing. Muna siya kang can. Okay? Three down, two more to go. Oh my god, this one. Makabuang na magini siya. So, kung makabuang si Plato, for me, mas makabuang si Design or Dasein. I don't know how they pronounce it, but I pronounce it as Design. That's according to the American pronunciation. Now, Design is a concept, a philosophical concept of Martin Heidegger. Okay, he's also a philosopher. It's a German word. Da means there. Sein or sign means being. So it means being there. There is a place. Being is being present. So you are existing. You are present. You're existing. Okay, when you say existing, you know that you can breathe. But dili na siya enough. Dapat kabalo ang tao. People can recognize you. But first, you have to recognize yourself that you are you. And other people can recognize you, that you exist. Okay? This is actually an existentialist philosophy, but we're not going to talk about existentialism because lisod na kayo na siya. Di na siya philosophy subject. Okay. Sa concept nga design, when you exist, you interact with other people. Okay, I think there is, hold on. Yeah, you interact with other people, meaning you interact with them because you want to survive. What's the purpose of interacting with them? You want to talk to them. Why are you talking to them? Because you need something from them. They also need something from you. You also want to talk to them because just for leisure, for entertainment. You also want to talk to them to achieve a goal. You have to talk to a to someone that owns a store because you want to buy something. If you want to enroll, you talk to the registrar. You talk to someone if you need something from them, right? Mm-mm. So if you exist, you have to talk. You have to uh, interact with other people. Design makes, hold on, world the world unitary, but not collection of beings or entities. Now, layo na kayo siya, okay? Ang point lang ani is, ato tumalikan ganina, at ako sa nang i-mention. When you say this philosophy makes design makes world unitary, but not collection of beings or entities, means that even if even if we are individuals, but again, we interact with them, diba? We interact with them so that we exist. Even if we're individuals, we have to interact with them. That means that we are a collection. If we're a collection, we are one whole, a whole. We are unitary. We are one. We are whole human being all as well. not separate body or mind. Okay? Now, unsay point ani? Oo. It also reveals the being or the human in the world. Now, in design, art can help us see the world in a new way, exposing previously hidden elements of reality. What it means to be human and shows human experiences, emotions, and our place in the world. Before, when we exist, when before we existed, we have not yet interacted with them, right? So the moment that we interacted with them, we are able to expose the hidden elements of our reality. We already know them, their names, their age, their interests, their habits, what their background is, their history. Kana siya. Now, how do we make use of this for art? You can paano express yourselves, express your thoughts para makahelp ka sa other people to understand your experiences as a human and emotions as humans and their place in the world. Because again, the purpose of design is to exist with other people, being there. So, naipulot ang art. Mhm. You can see that layo na kay siya, pero that is the perspective, philosophical perspective of art. A sculpture of a person looking sad that helps viewers understand what sadness or grief feels alike. Muna na siya kung point. Oh my God, 'di ba we talked about uh, um, idealism or completo katong mimesis. This one, we don't know yet unsay sadness, unsay grief. We just know that it's there a heavy feeling where there's something lost or if there's something incomplete or like that. But how? Have you seen a sad face? Have you seen sadness or grief? If there is art, we can make a sculpture. Now, unsa nga sculpture ato ma-make para makita tag sadness? Gahilak nga person. That makes us expose or discover the hidden meaning of sadness or grief or any other things that we know. Mhm. Individuals confront questions of identity, immortality, and meaning for forging a deeper understanding of their own existence and relationship to the world. So this is very philosophical. It's about questioning your existence. Where did you begin? Where did we begin? Mm. Balik sa takang Plato, kay Merg nalibog na mo. Plato, perfect. Oo. Aristotle, what's real? Balag dili perfect. Muna siya nga art imong awaton. It's imitation ha, mimesis, imitation. Representation can play ang Aristotle because what we see mag-represent lang siya. Dili ang exact replica sa ato ang gihuna-huna. So unsa na siya nga art? Unsa to ang ato makita mo to i-draw. Katong Plato, unsa ang atong huna-huna nga perfect sa apple mo na siya. Pero wala pa kabalo kung unsa imperfect. It depends on us. Because again, it is our own idea. Mhm. Okay. Um, hold on. The previous slides about purposes or functions of art, what do you call this? Easier na siya. Dili na siya kinahanglan og deeper explanation. You just have to make use of this. We just have to observe these, appreciate art through these helps these purposes or functions. Kaning philosophical perspectives, we will apply these later using your materials. Now, dili na ta sa oh, Immanuel Kant na ay purpose, ay sorry, walay purpose per purposive. Basically, static art. Kang Martin Heidegger, anything that you're hiding but you're expressing. Because if you express, you have to express to interact with the world. Makonect po na to siya sa cultural function of art. Nga naman, because we are a community, we have to be involved. We have to talk to them. We have to to cooperate with them. Mhm. This is the last one. Ano, nawala ang naong ni Benedito Croce. Should be the background. Appeal ilaha Martin Heidegger and Oh, okay na, okay ready ka, Manuel, can't. Can't, lagi. Okay. Benedito Croce, Italian na siya, ang iyahang art. First perspective, a philosophical perspective is, art should not be judged by moral standards. I'm sorry, should not be judged by moral standards because it is supreme over morality. It means that art is over morality. Art is higher than morality. That's according to Benedito Croce. Okay? Nga naman, because art and morality are different things. Art is about creation of something that's beautiful, expressing something through intuition. But morality, our actions are ethical consequences. Layo na gid kay sila. Maunang, if there is a violent scene sa painting, even if it's violent ang scene, ki-admire ang art because of the artist's skill, dili because of the content mismo. Alright? I think this is the last one. Oh, this is the last one. Again, to review, um, Plato, anything you think is perfect about something, that should be made, or that you should make a work of art out of it. Anything that is an accurate representation of reality, you should make a work of art of it, according to Aristotle. Anything that is, even if it has no purpose but still purposive, it means that it's beautiful, aesthetic. You should make an art of it, a work of art out of it. Or according to Martin Heidegger, anything that binds us humans, that reveals what's inside of us, expressing the hidden elements of reality, that should be the subject of your art. And for Benedito Croce, art and morality should be diverged, should be separated. So you should not judge a work of art by moral standards.